All right, it is 9 a.m. and I would like to call to order the teleconference meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee of Friday, November 19th, 2021. Before we begin, please be advised the meeting is being recorded. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning, everyone. Starting with Director Cochran.
Here.
Director Conroy. Absent. Director Garbarino.
Here.
Director Grosboll.
Here.
Thank you. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Hill.
Here.
Vice Chair Terrio.
Here.
Chair Arnold is absent. And President Barr.
Present.
Present. Thank you. You have a quorum, but you are not a committee of the whole. There are a total of 9 directors on the line. We also have directors Fredericks, Maston, and Snyder on the line. I'll let you know if we become a committee of the whole. I'll confirm staff. Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
Joe Wire.
Yes.
Ava Bauer-Furbish.
Present.
Kim Manolius.
I'm here.
Thank you. Steve Miller.
Present. Good morning.
Mona Babauta.
Present.
Jim Swindler.
Present.
And Kelly Hopper.
Good morning.
Great. That confirms staff on the line.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And I will welcome participation of those directors who are not members of the committee in discussion. And if we eventually reach committee of the whole in voting then. I would like to remind everyone to mute their phones until after staff's presentation. Remember to unmute and identify yourself when we open up for director discussion. If there are comments or questions, the Secretary or I will call on you accordingly. Following our discussion, we will ask for public comment before moving on. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers on the bottom of your meeting packet. We'll start with agenda item number 3, to approve the 2022 Rules of the Board as amended and detailed in the staff report. Staff report begins on page 3. Madam Secretary, please present your report.
Thank you, Chair Terrio. Before you, item number 3 is to approve the rules of the board as amended, as the chair cited. And I just want to let you all know that it is something we've published. The rules of the board is used to govern the proceedings pursuant to the Streets and Highway Codes of the district. And it's been in place since the 1920s. And it's a very historical document that's been amended over the years. And since we've done our last update in 2017, the board adopted 10 resolutions that pertain to the board, of the rules of the board. 5 of them were calendar related. 4 were annual investment policy delegations to the auditor controller, and 1 incorporated the procurement ordinance. So we've not done a whole lot to it. So over time, we've been kind of like making small edits here and there. However, it's time for us to kind of hit the reset button and start all over. So some of the amendments, as I said, calls to amend Rule 2, Rule 11, and as we mentioned too, Rule 2 has been updated to actually reflect the recent amendments in the Brown Act to permit remote board meetings. Attached to the staff report is red line pages only. The full document will be put together and put online after the meeting, and if the board approves it. With that, I'd respectfully ask for your approval.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Do any of the directors have questions or comments on item number 3 in the presentation?
This is Director Cochran.
Yes, Director Cochran, please go ahead. And Director Grosboll, I'll take you after Director Cochran. Please, Director Cochran, please go ahead.
Yeah, on page 8 or page 10 of the I'm not sure which it is, but we have our order of succession in the event that the general manager is unable to designate an acting general manager, that it goes first to the bridge manager, then the engineer, auditor, controller, district secretary. Nothing against the bridge manager, but I don't know how long that's been in there. I read it and it kind of surprised me.
It's been in place for quite a long time, actually. It's as we carried our documents forward, as far as I know, we've always designated an acting general manager. And what's happened is in the past, Dennis has always, before he's gone somewhere or stepped out and been unable to be general manager, then he would designate an acting general manager. Now, in his stead, that is the order of succession, but that has been in place for probably the last 20 years, if not, it's been updated.
Okay, I'm just kind of curious why it's there in that order, rather than our district officers versus an appointed officer of the bridge. Anyway.
Okay, Director Grosswald, did you have something? I'm not hearing anything. Is he on the line?
Yes, he is.
I thought I
Yes,
heard him. Go ahead, please. All right, not hearing anything. Are there any other directors who have questions or comments for on this item? There was something, but I didn't catch who.
I just wanted to let you know that Director Rodoni has joined the line, so you are a committee of the whole.
Thank you. Let me ask one last time, are there any other directors who have questions or comments on item number 3? Then that would conclude the director discussion on the item. Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment?
Yes, we do have a speaker. I believe we have David Pilpel on the line to comment.
All right, let's proceed to public comment then, please.
All right, thank you. David, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me now?
We can. Go ahead.
Okay. David Pilpel. I support updating the rules. It's been a while since the rules have been before the board. I don't find that there are any complicated changes here. These simply seem to be conforming changes to past actions of the board. As to the question of the order of succession, my recollection is that that has, I think, always been the order of succession of the district. I think there were possibly a few instances where the general manager was unavailable, not Dennis, not the current general manager, but previous general managers, and the bridge manager became the acting general manager for a brief period. I think Carrie Witt might have served in that capacity for a day or two. I mean, this does not happen regularly, and it's anticipated that when the general manager is absent, that he or she designates an acting general manager. So it is unusual that this order of succession would get triggered. But that's my recollection, is that's always been the history, that it would, those particular officers were selected in part due to their proximity to the office, proximity to the bridge, ability to serve in an acting capacity, et cetera. Anyway, but interesting history, and I support updating the rules of order. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pilpel. Madam Secretary, is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment?
We have no other speakers.
Then a motion would be in order on the item. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll move.
All right, there was a motion, and I think we could take one of those as a second as well.
Sure.
Madam Secretary, do you have those?
Yes, I do.
Then please proceed to a roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item number 3 with a first from Second Vice President Cochran and a second from Director Hill, starting with Director Arnold. Absent Director Conroy. Absent Director Fredericks.
Yes.
Director Garbarino.
Yes.
Director Giudice is absent. Director Grossball.
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Hill.
Yes.
Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Melgar. Absent. Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Second Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
First Vice President Theriault,
Yes.
and President Parr.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Then item number 4 on the agenda is to approve reclassification of the payroll manager position. Staff report begins on page 19, and Joe Wire is presenting. Joe, go ahead, please.
Thank you to the chair and to the committee as a whole. This is, as mentioned, is a recommendation for the committee to increase the salary of the payroll manager by approximately 8% in the hopes that we can get a successful hire and a person in the position. The payroll manager is a management level position in my department, the finance department, and as by the title, they run the payroll shop here for the district. The payroll manager position has been vacant for approximately 2 years. We did have one unsuccessful hire in the middle who came on board for a couple months, but then left the position. The department, the HR department, and have been aggressively working to find a replacement. They have, in fact, engaged 3 different executive search firms over this time. We've had, as the report mentions, some interest, and we've had some interviews. Unfortunately, we have not been able to hire any of the successful candidates who've come through the interview process. The salary surveys that the HR department did perform showed that the current compensation rate is, up to 20% below market. And then some of the candidates that we did get through the interview process let us know that when they turned down our offers. So the change that we are requesting would approximately cost the district about $14,000 a year more in total compensation. And we're, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're hopeful that that will make a difference and that we can attract a candidate and get that important position filled. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Wire. Do any of the directors have questions on the item? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this item?
David Pilpel would like to also speak on this item, so let me connect him to the line.
Thank you.
David, if you're back with us, go ahead.
I am. I am supportive of this change. I think there may be other classifications in the district that also require salary adjustments as we see people coming and going, and what are they calling this? The Great Resignation. Perhaps it's time to look more broadly at increasing the lower salaries in the district and maybe capping the higher salaries so that we end up with a more compressed range of salaries overall. That may lead to more equitable pay structure, arguably, but in that it would still be an increasing salary range in total. I think it would still be based on the complexity, education, experience, knowledge, the labor market, responsibilities, skills, and span of control for each individual position. So I'm not arguing for the same salary for everyone throughout the district, but I just think that there's going to need to be more review of salary scales given what's happening right now in the labor market. As I say, I am supportive of this change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pilfeld. Madam Secretary, is there anyone else from the public?
We have no further speakers.
All right, then it's time again for a motion. Can I have a motion on item number 4?
So moved.
All right, there's a motion and a second.
This is Parr, second.
And there's a second. Madam Secretary, another roll call vote, please.
Thank you. We're voting on item number 4 with a first from Director Snyder and a second from President Parr, starting with Director Arnold. Absent. Director Conroy is absent. Director Fredericks.
Yes.
Director Garbarino.
Yes.
Director Giudice. Absent. Director Grosboll.
Yes.
Director Hernandez. Absent. Director Hill.
Yes.
Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Melgar. Absent. Director Abbott.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
First Vice President Theriault.
Yes.
And President Barr.
Aye.
Thank you. You have 11 ayes.
That would be a passage of the motion. Next item on the agenda is number 5, to approve the reorganization in the paint department of the district's bridge division and related actions. Staff report starts on page 21, and Steve Miller presents this time. Mr. Miller, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Theriault, members of the committee. Steve Miller, Deputy General Manager, Bridge Division. The item before you this morning is a minor reorganization in the bridge paint department. The staff is asking the committee to recommend to the board that we eliminate one chief house painter position, eliminate one house painter position, add one new position of lead house painter, and add one position to the classification of bridge painter, and to amend the district's table of organization accordingly. Just a brief background on this reorganization. We currently have 3 positions in the house painter shop, 1 chief and 2 house painters. This reorg would basically shift one of those personnel out to the bridge paint crews. The purpose of this is to sort of shift capability toward our highest priority, which is painting of the bridge. We are in the midst of and have upcoming some major bridge painting projects, and we want to gain as much capability there as we can. I do want to point out that this reorg, taking personnel from the house painter shop and shifting them to the bridge, is not intended to somehow discount the importance of our facilities painting or the importance of maintaining state of good repair on facilities that aren't the bridge. But this reorg will add flexibility in large part. And the reason for that is a bridge painter is fully qualified to perform any of the functions of a house painter position, but not the other way around. There are specialized skills and abilities and training that go along with actually sandblasting and doing the structural steel painting that house painters aren't trained to do. So, one thing we learned during the pandemic is flexibility is everything. So during the pandemic, we actually, because there was great need for a lot of signage and other house painter duties, we actually shifted, some capability from the bridge painting to accomplish those emergency measures, and we can continue to do that. So it's just about being smart about our work. On any given day, we can have project constraints, we can have weather issues that prevents the bridge painters from being on the bridge, and we can very easily reassign them to work on unfinished house painting or facilities painting projects. And that's not just here at the bridge. We do house painting at bus and ferry facilities as well. So really this reorganization is about right-sizing the house painter classification and giving us flexibility and capability out on the bridge where, that's our most important asset. We have met and conferred, discussed this with the Public Employees Union Local 1, and they have put forth no objections. So the table on page 22 shows the existing classification numbers and the proposed. And this adds a little bit of cost. We save some operating funds by using a lead house painter as opposed to a chief house painter, but we pick up some cost because a bridge painter is a more highly compensated position. So the net increase in operating costs is $8,194 per year, but I think that's a good bargain given the capability and flexibility we'll attain. So the fiscal impact of this reorganization is easily absorbed into our current operating budget due to vacancies, and will be budgeted for future 22-23 budget cycle. So with that, that's my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Are there any directors with questions for Mr. Miller on this item? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public who wants to talk about this?
We do have David on the line ready to comment on this one as well. So give me a second to connect them.
Thank you.
David?
Yep. Very briefly, I support the staff recommendation, reflects the flexibility and changing work needs of the district, in particular the bridge division, but as was said, the house painters also do facilities work at Bus and Ferry. And this was very well explained, and I appreciate the thought that went into this change. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Philpell. And Mr. Philpell is the only one for public comment, Madam Secretary?
Yes, he is.
Then it's time for another motion. May I have a motion on item number 5?
I'll move the approval of reorganization of the paint department.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director Cochran. And there's a second. Madam Secretary, you have those?
I do.
Then let's again go do a roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item number 5 with the first from Second Vice President Cochran and a second from Director Garbarino. Starting with Director Arnold. Absent. Director Conroy. Is absent. Director Fredericks.
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino.
Yes.
Director Giudice. Absent. Director Grosball.
Yes.
Director Hernandez. Is absent. Director Hill.
Yes.
Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Melgar. Is absent. Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Radoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie. Is absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
First Vice President Theriault.
Yes.
And President Parr.
Aye.
Thank you. You have 11 ayes again.
That again means the motion passes. That brings us to item number 6 on the agenda, which is general public comment. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone wishing to comment under this item?
We have no other speakers.
Thank you. That would then bring us to the end of the agenda. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There's a motion, and we'll count one of those as a second. I'll give them a moment to hear if anyone objects to our adjourning. I hear no one, so that concludes the meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee, and I have 9:23 a.m. Thank you, everyone.